in the Maimer about the first we were talking about that the avoida matters to atzmos, even though the prote avoida, that is only something that matters in Seder Ishtalshlos. Then the next thing we were talking about is what it says, V'avadatem es havaya lekechem. And we spoke about the two types of avoida. There's the beginning, there's Reishis avoida v'ikr v'sharsha. That's the avoida of Yira and Kabbalas oil. And then it's not just enough to have the avoida me'yira, but it's also necessary v'avadatem less pulchana k'pulchana d'rechimusa, that you also have to have the avoida out of love. So now, after explaining about v'avadatem, he's going to go into explaining the concept of Leisim Shakela V'Akara B'Artzecha. That's part of those psukim in last week's parsha. Second paragraph on the 7th page. Amna medafnach b'varnim, but still we need to forewarn. Da'af sheyesh etzli yira v'ava. Though he has both the awe of Hashem, because he has the avodah of Yira, and also, as we said earlier, it's not enough just to have the avodah of Yira, it's also necessary to have the avodah of Ava. Yeshne be'emes. And it's true, it's real, it's not something that's fantasy. As Nitar meint, as Arhat Ava v'Yira, it's not that he thinks, he believes that he has love and awe. Rather, in truth, he really has love and awe. Like in the beginning of Tanya, in Perek Gimel, he says that if a person doesn't have das, so then the Ava v'Yira is only demyonis shav. It's only false fantasies, imaginations. So we're talking about someone that has Ava, has Yira, truly so. Kol Makim, still in all Efshali, says all haben Ava v'Yira. It's possible he should have love and awe of Hashem, und soll sich abstellen dabei, and he should stop with it. That's sufficient for him. Und will nicht gehen weiter. He doesn't want to go further. Behind this means that he has a satisfaction from his love and awe. The awe is then, if he has a satisfaction from it, not only could it be that his love and awe will not have any ongoing type of existence. In other words, it will eventually leave him. But also, what the Ava v'Yira is supposed to influence, that it's supposed to invigorate and inspire his Torah mitzvahs, as we know again from the beginning of Tanya, that Ava is the Shoresh Koramach mitzvahs aseh, and Yira is the root for all negative commandments. So if he is satisfied with his love and awe, so then so then his Torah mitzvahs will be only to the degree how much the self-satisfaction pushes him to have Torah mitzvahs. He will not go beyond whatever satisfies him, and that's a limited form of service. So now he's going to connect it to what the parsha says. Third paragraph on the page. That's what it says. You should not have a woman that loses her children, or a barren woman in your land. Concerning a barren woman, there's two types. There's two ideas. One type of barren woman that she has no uterus. That she has nowhere to even receive anything to be able to give birth. What is the spiritual idea of this type of level of akara of a barren woman? We know that children are, the midas are likened to children. The mother of the children rejoices. The mother is talking about Bina as the mother. His bonus brings about the children. Again, the beginning of Tanya, that the Avir are called the children, and the intellect is called the mothers. So that is one type of barren woman, that she has no children, that you have no midas. But if you're talking about a barren woman that has no base matter and has no place for the child, that means doesn't even have an intellectual type of excitement, which is a precursor to the excitement that will come about in a full-blown emotion in the heart. The lois not only is his heart clogged, which means that he doesn't have the emotions that the intellect should bring forth. His heart, his brain is also blocked. That even in his intellect there is no excitement, and it doesn't touch him. What's the reason why the person is suffering from this timtum hamoyach, doesn't have this base matron? It's because the person is a full vessel. The mid is basar adam, in the measure of a human being, of a person of flesh and blood. If you have anything in this world that's full, it cannot contain. As opposed to Hashem, it's the other way around. So this person, since he is filled with his wills, even from wills of holiness, this is something he wants to study, and the other thing he doesn't want to study. Similarly, when it comes to the service of Hashem, that this type of service that he has some type of talent for, he has some type of attraction for, that's what he wants. And this other avoid he doesn't want. It's because the person is filled with his own wills. This is what he wants, this is what he doesn't want. So then, like we said, he's full. Because he's full, he doesn't have a vessel that could accept the birth. He doesn't have a place for the child to gestate, for the Av of a Yira to grow. Since a full vessel cannot contain. And now the Rebbe breaks it down even more about what types of will the person is filled with. This goes without saying. If he's filled with the wills of the animal soul, and even lower, he's filled with the wills of the evil inclination, that these are the wills for prohibited things, or even the wills of permitted things. The Abshem, the Dvarim Mutarim Betzim, top of 171. Though in and of themselves, they are permitted things that he wishes. Since he desires them, so as the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that the desires for permitted matters, that is a Jewish demon. But it's still a shade, it's still a demon, it's still a negative thing, it's still klippa. He's filled with the wills of the animal soul. Since he's a full vessel, he does not contain, he does not allow for place for the love and awe of Hashem to develop, just like a woman that doesn't have a place to receive the child. Also, he's not filled with the wills of Nefesh Bahamis. His issue is his Nefesh Bahamis. Is not in question over here. What's in question is that he's filled with wills of his godly soul. Hainu begedusha, in holiness. The avodah zuhu roitza, this avodah he wants. Avodah zuhu roitza, and this type of service he doesn't want. Hinihu kli mali. So again, he's a full vessel. She'ene machzik, therefore does not have place to hold anything. Ve'ene kli kibul klal leilada. It's not a receptacle at all for giving birth to love and awe of Hashem. To such a degree, that even intellectually he doesn't get excited, like the Rebbe called it before, timtum hamoyach. That is one level in akara, in a barren woman. Another level of a barren woman, a second level in a barren woman, is the base matrin yeshla. She has a place for a baby to form. Which spiritually that means that the person has a receptacle for the midah, for an emotion to Hashem to be born. He has that initial stage where intellectually he can get excited about godliness. It doesn't come out revealed in his heart. In other words, there's a disconnect between the brain and the heart. Hine ava nikras b'shem ben v'yira b'shem ba'as. We know love is called a son, and awe is called a daughter. U'kemoishu b'lod b'gashmis, just like it's in a physical birth. Shetzarich li seder d'yimei ibur, there has to be the order of the days of gestation, of the days of pregnancy. Shavlad tzarich li gadol, the child has to grow in the mother, until it comes out revealed. It's in the birth of the son and daughter, the birth of love and awe. There's the order of the days of pregnancy. Until the emotion comes out revealed, just like a child has to be born. Just like it's in a physical birth. So the birth is, meaning the revelation of the child is by the power of the infinite. So it's in the birth of love and awe, the emotion should be revealed from the light that's planted for the tzaddik. What does that mean? Just like the father needs to plant in a seed to be able to have the birth of a child, the same thing, that you need to have the ruach tzaddik, you need to plant the light. What is it? That's the idea of a tzaddik. What's a tzaddik? Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is that light that's being planted. That's why it's associated with a tzaddik. That is the idea of Torah mitzvahs. Needs to be in this a higher power. That's the avoid that's beyond reason and knowledge. In other words, you need to have, like the power of the Ein Sof, you need to have a level that's beyond Seder Ishtalshalos. What does that mean in the person's avodah? There has to be an essential movement beyond reason. In other words, that the person really shakes himself up and really moves in a specific manner beyond himself. At least once a year, at the beginning of the avodah of the year. Then, because there is this transcendent level, just like the koyach himself is what brings about the child to be born, the same thing, this going outside of himself, breaking outside of himself, that causes that there should be the revelation of love and awe. But if it's lacking that movement, that's the cause for the second type of akara, where even though there is a receptacle, even though in the mind he does become excited about what he meditates upon, but it doesn't translate into the emotions of love and awe. That is akara. Now he's going to talk about mishakela. That says loisia mashakela also. The ini mashakela. Who? What's the idea of mashakela? Is she'en kiyum la'ava v'yira shaloi. That even once he has a love and awe, it doesn't go on. Like we mentioned before, it comes out of his self-satisfaction. When he's satisfied from his love and awe, through that it doesn't exist. It isn't the language of truth which is set forever, because truth is something that's everlasting. The fact that by this person it's not everlasting, that means it's not something that's going to remain with him. That's a result of something else that's making it not be that way, and that's a satisfaction we said before. That's what the pasuk is saying. There should not be a woman that loses her children or a woman that's barren in your land. After he says that you will serve Havai your God. That's the avoid of love and all, like we learned earlier in the Maimer. He says additionally, should not be these two spiritual problems. The cause of it is be'artsecha. Artsecha is like a lot of times brought down Chassidus. Artsecha is in order rotzen, that it's your will. Your will is causing this satisfaction and this will that he wants this and not that, causes the blockages and doesn't allow either that there should be even a birth of the love and awe, or causes the self-satisfaction. That's the connection. He should not have satisfaction from his avoida, and therefore he will do everything to the utmost. Bottom paragraph on page 8. To be able to affect within himself the lack of satisfaction. For this he says, I will fill the number of your days. What does that mean spiritually? The kashem is when he contemplates the fact that he was given a set amount of days, no less and no more. Every single day he needs to do his service. Every day and every hour and every moment. He needs to do his service and his mission in this world. He's so preoccupied with this. He doesn't have any time to even think about his levels. This is what Rabbi Yechim said on his deathbed. He said to his students when they saw him crying, I do not know in what path they are leading me, either to Gan Eden or the opposite. One of the explanations that's given for this, top of page 172, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, because of his great preoccupation fulfilling his mission, he had no time to listen to and to pay attention what's going on with his levels. He's so preoccupied and so drowned in and absorbed in what he was doing. Fulfill his mission every day and every hour and every moment. He doesn't know what's going on spiritually with his intellect and his emotions. Who's even talking about the concealed part of his soul. When he meditates on the fact that there were days that were formed, and every single moment he has to complete his mission. It could pass by a moment, an hour, a day that he doesn't fulfill his service, he doesn't do his service. It's not only that he lost an opportunity to climb higher, rather in every single moment that he doesn't fulfill his mission, he is then rebelling against the King of Kings Hashem by the fact that he's not fulfilling the mission of who sent him. Therefore, when they ask him, what's doing with your ba'artzcha, meaning with your will, he shouts with a bitter soul, what type of will, what type of delight, what type of love, what type of awe. When there's days that are formed, when a dafstein ala mishmer, he has to be on guard, as by him that by him should not pass any moment. Was in the reg is only then that moment he does not fulfill his mission. If he doesn't do the mission, so then he's rebelling against his mission. At that time, why will he be thinking about levels? The kol kachu verjogt, verengt und vertrinken. He is so absorbed and squeezed in his fulfillment of his mission. He's not thinking at all about his level. I believe in this part of the Bible that everyone was crying. That's what the pasuk is saying. When a person meditates on the fact that days were formed, so then it becomes dissatisfied. Through that, it will not be both a woman who loses her children afterwards and a barren woman. When he does this, so then it's a promise that there will not be such a woman. When there's the first explanation on the word loitia, from the word command, in other words, that you have to do it this way. You shall serve your God. That he does his service with love and awe. And still in all, there will not be this type of there will not be this problem of you have to make sure that there should not be this particular problem. Let's say and he affects upon himself the lack of self-satisfaction. Then there's the second explanation, that's a way of a promise. That's what it says, that you should serve your God. When you will serve, then Havaya will be your God. The Havaya that's both was, is, and will be as one. Even when you talk about past, present, and future as one, it still has to do with Seder Ishtalshlus, but it rules over Seder Ishtalshlus. It rules over time. But here it's a level of Havaya that's even higher than Seder Ishtalshlus, and that becomes Elokeichem hu kechachem b'chayusechem. It becomes your power and your vitality. And he will bend your bread and your waters, and I will remove the illness from within you. The machlan nemerkanu machla stam. When it says illness over here, it just doesn't qualify it. It's the illness that's the root for all illnesses. The machla is the top of 173. Yeshna gam kasha yeshna heinyan the berach haslachram mech. This illness to be found even when he benched your bread and your waters. What's it talking about? Bread and waters over here. It's the written and oral Torah. Torah mitzvahs, or bread and water is referring to Torah mitzvahs. This illness can be found, this unspecified illness can be found even when he benched those. Even when you have Torah Shebeksav, Torah Shebapeh, even when you have Torah mitzvahs. This illness is the original illness, what came as a result of the sin of the Eitz Hadas. The Chetz Eitz Hadas, Paul Kolom, the sin of the Eitz Hadas affected everyone. Gam al tzadikim, v'gam al tzadikim gemurim, even tzadikim, and even complete tzadikim. V'zel madis, this is what is brought down. Dalad meisu be'etov shanacha, yet shanacha, 4 passed away because of the advice and counsel of the serpent. Shem tzadikim hayoyser g'dolim. These are the greatest tzadikim. The Gemara enumerates as those 4. Shaloi ha'olahem shum sibul amisa. There was no cause and reason why they should die. The only reason was ki im ha'ini the chet Eitz Hadas. That's what it means, that by the counsel of the snake, the only reason they died was because of the sin of the Eitz Hadas. Hare, what do we see from this? It's not just Hashem made a decree, everybody has to die, and because of that they died. That means spiritually that the Chet Eitz Hadas hareches the Paul Gamaleim. It influenced them as well, and that's why they also had to die. The Inyan Chet Eitz Hadas, what is the idea of the sin of the Eitz Hadas? So Chassidus explains, Basil Gani talks about, is self-awareness. That the woman saw that the tree is good to eat. The Koyde before the sin, even when they saw lofty things in holiness, there was no sense and no awareness and no self-consciousness. The idea of sin is the idea of self-consciousness. That's the beginning and source of all illness, of all sin. That's before the sin. They were both unclothed, and they were not ashamed because there was no consciousness of self. That's the idea of the counsel of the snake. That he influenced everyone, even on complete tzaddikim, even if he serves Hashem with a love of delight. He's still someone, a mitzias, that loves. You will not reach the level of his cleaving to Hashem the way the Hashem was before he descended down here below. This is the machla, the illness that the pasuk is referring to, the self-consciousness, of a level of someone that loves. This is also to be found by tzaddikim. How much more so by Beinanim and even lower than Beinanim. Concerning this, he says, I will remove the illness from within you. He follows that up with the barren woman, and the woman will not lose her children. After he effected within himself, there should not be someone that's a Meshakela and Akara. So then, after he's done his part, so Hashem promises from his side. It says the people that copy the Maimer are missing a piece over here. Afterwards, he says that the number of your days I will fill. Even if there were days was in the tag, he did not fulfill his mission in those days. Even more so, as I wrote in the tag, he didn't these days things that you're not supposed to do. Still in all the number of your days I will fill. That's the number of your days I will fill is also, like we said, it's not third person, it's I. Meaning, the one that's normally the narrator, that's beyond the Seder Shtalshlus, in that level that's beyond everything, there is no defect, blemish, or damage. He has the capability to fill that which was lacking. The Indian is what's the idea specifically? The number of your days, the Misperim Loshna Shemayim Misaprim. Misper is also from the expression that the heavens relate, and also from the word shining. Meloshin Evan Sapir, from a sapphire stone. Meloshin Saphirus or Behirus, showing on shining and brilliance. Kedisa B'Toydoir, it's brought down Toydoir. Who the intention of this is, the Loizu B'Vad Sheyashlim Eloi Masha Hichser. Not only will they perfect and complete what he was lacking, Kim Gamas the Teg von beim Leichten, also that the days will shine by him. It'll come down also in the material sense, in the physical sense. The when you the person will have a comfortable living. That means that's the idea of life, health. He adds to this the number of your days I will fill. A base day is there are two opinions in the Chazal. That they fill his days according to what Seder Shtalshlus demands to be the number of his days. But another opinion is that they will add even more than his regular appointed apportioned part of days. That's the idea of children. It's all just a preparation for entering Eretz Yisrael. He talks about it afterwards. It will be speedily on days through Mashiach.